Let's imagine you're the bedside nurse and you hung 1 unit of packed red blood cells. You're checking vitals per protocol. At about 15 minutes in, your patient begins to complain of shortness of breath and a new onset of back pain. As a nurse, what would you do? The best response would be to immediately stop the blood transfusion. In this video, I'm going to cover scenarios like this and capture 4 main points that you must do every time. Coming up. Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Christina. I am a bedside registered nurse. I am a family nurse practitioner and a mama of 2. This channel is geared to help make nursing easier on you. I'm sharing tips, strategies, and educational content. So if that sounds like something you're into, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button below. Blood transfusions are given in the setting of anemia, so low hemoglobin and hematocrit, as I will refer to as H&H. So some reasons for a blood transfusion can be from a blood loss from a surgery or injury such as a motor vehicle accident. So normal H&H values varies amongst a male versus a female. As listed, this would be for your adult patient. So the 4 main points I want you to think of when you're about to hang blood. Number 1 would be your pre-transfusion checklist. So what you're going to do before. Number 2 would be supplies. So supplies to gather that you will need to safely hang blood. Number 3 would be verification, which will require a second nurse. And number 4 would be transfusion reaction. So signs and symptoms to be familiar with. So number 1, your pre-transfusion checklist. So you have your prescription, which is your order, and you want to review any special considerations, like if they have heart failure, consider volume precautions, or if they may need a diuretic like Lasix. Or do they need to be pre-medicated with like Tylenol, Benadryl, and Solumedrol because of previous transfusion reactions from the past? And key question, do you have those medications available from pharmacy to give before you release your order for blood to be prepared and delivered by blood bank? So within your pre-transfusion checklist, you want to verify consent for blood transfusions and verify that your patient actually authorizes for the infusion. If not, notify the doctor to prevent delays and to save a unit of blood that can be given to someone else that can use it. Always check and verify your type and screen. Has it been done and is it valid? This is something that is given to you during report if you're on a unit where blood transfusions are commonly given, or if your patient has like a working diagnosis of like a GI bleed would be most reasonable. So typically a type and screen needs to be redrawn after the 72-hour mark or per protocol. Then you want to verify you have IV access, preferably a 20 gauge per textbook. It will say 19 gauge. And don't forget, you must release the order so blood bank can start their process. Also, plan accordingly. Make sure the patient has more than 1 IV start for access. But before anything, make sure your patient is hemodynamically stable. So get a set of updated vital signs, and most importantly, if your patient is febrile, notify the MD before starting any type of transfusion. So point number 2, now what supplies do you need? So this will consist of like an IV pole, an IV pump. Make sure you have your normal saline because blood does not mix with any other IV fluids or medications because it can cause hemolysis or clotting of blood. Get your wide tubing and straight tubing sets to filter and remove sediment from blood products. I like to prime my normal saline prior to the arrival of my blood so I don't feel rushed. It makes it easier for you. And also, blood warmers are used in the setting of rapid or massive blood transfusions. However, to prevent hemolysis, blood must not warm at or above 42 degrees Celsius. So point number 3, now your blood has arrived, so verification is key. But do you know you got 30 minutes to transfuse? So that's why you want to be prepared prior, and it will vary from hospital to hospital, so verify your policy. So 2 RNs must verify the blood product. You'll want to review the actual order, the consent, patient's verification on the wristband that will include the name, date of birth, MRN, and blood bank ID on patient. If that is part of your protocol, some hospitals have done away with the blood bank ID wristband, and it varies. Be sure to scan the 4 barcodes on the blood product bag that will be unit blood type, unit number, the product code, and the expiration. The second nurse must confirm it is set up appropriately with a filter in place and normal saline infusing only into one IV line with no other meds. Always start the transfusion slowly. The literature suggests that a severe reaction will occur within the first 50 mils of blood infused into the patient. Point number 4, transfusion reaction. So 2 common reasons for a reaction is if the blood is more than 30 days old or if the patient has received multiple transfusions before in the past. So stay with the patient the first 15 minutes at the bedside and monitor for common signs and symptoms of a transfusion reaction. So these would consist of chills, coughing, shortness of breath such as wheezing, a new onset of joint pain including back pain, facial flushing, some hives, like they feel really itchy to the skin. They could also have a rise in blood pressure, so the systolic blood pressure will rise greater than 50 millimeters of mercury. Fever can rise 2 degrees Fahrenheit or 1 degree Celsius, pain at the site of infusion, sometimes a headache, oliguria, cyanosis. So here's the action plan. Stop the infusion, draw back the blood within the IV and dispose of in a biohazard, keeping the line open only with normal saline, and assess the patient. Sometimes you'll have to add some oxygen to help support their airway and look to see if they have any PRN meds to help alleviate the symptoms. For example, if they are getting hives or like an itchy skin, administer Benadryl. If it is only hives, notify the ordering doctor. Depending on hospital protocol, you'll have to do a transfusion reaction workup and send all specimens back to blood bank in a biohazard bag, including blood product and blood tubing. This will also include notifying the blood bank and completing an incidence report, and notify the charge nurse if you haven't already done so. So there are 7 types of blood transfusion reactions. Number 1 is your hemolytic transfusion reaction, which is caused by blood type or Rh incompatibility. Then you have your febrile transfusion reactions, which can happen after multiple blood transfusions. Number 3 is your allergic transfusion reaction, which is common in patients with other allergies such as anaphylactic related. Then you have your TACO, which is your transfusion associated circulatory overload. If the blood product is infused too fast, which is common for the elderly population, that would occur. Number 5 is you have your trolley, which is your transfusion-related acute lung injury that is life-threatening. And then number 6 is your bacterial transfusion reaction, which is contaminated blood. Number 7 is your APTR, which is acute pain transfusion reaction. It's very rare and uncommon cause resulting in like this severe chest pain, joint pain, and redness of the head. So look, we just talked about blood transfusion steps for the bedside nurse, but this brings up the question how to identify anemia. So you definitely got to watch this video next. Click the screen to see it, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.